Midwest Meeples.
And we're your Meeples. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is a channel where we're going to be talking about board games and tabletop games and card games.
And anything we want, because it's our channel.
Yes.
And there's two Meeples. Before we get started, we just wanted to say that, of course, board games are worth our time and money and attention. It's our favorite thing to do. We are just trying to make sure that people are spending their money wisely and making choices that they don't regret.
So today, we're going to be talking about Gen Con, which is a big gaming convention that happens here in our hometown of Indianapolis, and money, and how those two do or do not go together.
First and foremost, we are not financial advisors. We're just two people who have experience going to Gen Con and saving money while going.
One of us has that experience anyway.
Tries to. Because when I actually tallied it up, it wasn't that impressive.
Well, we had different priorities, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
My priority was Travis McElroy. And it showed.
So my money-saving tip is to just not be too big of a fan of anyone, and then you don't have to spend all the money. So my first Gen Con, I like board games, and I knew that about myself. I did not know how little control I could have when it comes to pretty board games and cute things, and that is my downfall. So it was very much just like, walk up to the booth, and they would say hello, and I would say, here's my money.
There's like a time or two where I was like, you might want to see other booths. And you were like, first one. Here's all of it.
So Lauren.
Yes.
I have here some questions that I've prepared ahead of time that you are going to answer as our financial expert.
Oh gosh.
They're going to be random. I don't even know what you're going to get. First question.
Yeah.
Traveling around Indianapolis. Traveling to Gen Con, and then, once you're there, getting to food and getting home.
Okay, so for travel to and from the convention, I carpool. I find someone who's going, and I go, hey, I'll be at your house. When are you leaving? And then I join that. So for those who it's not, that's not possible, there's, parking spots day of that you can just pull into a spot. So we did a lift going from convention to our car. So we parked quite far away. And that's how we saved on parking. And then lifted from the car to the convention center. So, and then we split that lift 4 or 5 ways.
4 probably, yeah.
So that alone really helped. One time we parked very far away and then rode the bird scooters. So I wouldn't say you'd save money if you're going to do a lot of trips back and forth. Mm. But twice a day, I think you're okay.
For a rough benchmark, parking close to there, I think we would normally find at $30 for the day.
I think it depended on the day. I think on Thursday it was $20, and then the big days were Friday, Saturday, and those were $30. But we parked extremely close.
Yeah.
So.
And there was one magical parking lot that was $10.
Yeah, it was great.
$10 for the whole day.
I don't know much about this, but we do have the red line, so I don't know if parking is cheaper at other
Never
places.
Heard of it.
What? It's like the major bus in our city. Never.
Indianapolis is not exactly a city known for its public transportation.
Quick answer, carpool, park it far away and lift in and split that with friends. Get used to walking.
The convention itself, if you haven't been, is all walkable. It's mostly in the convention center in one building, and then there's a parking lot and a street, and that gets you over to Lucas Oil, right?
Yeah. Unless you're doing seminars and stuff like that, then you'll be in all of the surrounding hotels.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But it's all right there, within a block of each other.
It's all skywalkable.
This question is how to not buy all the games. So, Lauren,
Uh-huh.
as previously discussed, I am not good at saying no in the vendor hall at Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for me?
So I always go all 4 days, and so I implement on Thursday, it's a no-buy day, and you can tell people that when they try to sell things.
Oh, like have a little excuse ready?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So I truly do stick to, it's not just an excuse, it's truly what I do. So like, of course there's exceptions, because there are people who know the games that are coming out, they're only going to be limited, they're giving out X number, gotta be first, that kind of thing. So if you know of those and you are that kind of gamer, then you budget for it and you spend your heart out on Thursday. If you're not going more than 1 day, at least give yourself a time where it's like, I'm not gonna buy anything in this time limit. Instead, I'm gonna make sure I see the whole exhibit hall and like make note of what I want to buy in the moment. So what I have done is I have like my notes app. I take a picture of the thing that I wanted. I put what aisle the booth is at and what the game's called, what the vendor's called, all of that information that I would need to find it again. I put it in a document, and then I can reference that the next day or in the evening and determine like, hey, did I really want to buy this, or was this going to be an impulse purchase? And it gives you time to really think about the choices that you're going to make with your money.
So I walk up to a vendor and they say, hello, would you like to try my game? And I say, of course I would. That's why I'm here.
Sure.
So then I demo their game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tell me, well, if you buy it now, you can get it for $5 off. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I have already invested like 3 minutes of time into this person. How do I say no?
So, it's very important to know that everyone there is trying to sell you something. That's the point of a vendor hall. So even though there's room and space for you to be like, wow, this is beautiful. I love that you've taken the time to create this. Thanks for showing me this. Whoever you're talking to, you can treat them like a human being and be really respectful and be very courteous. And it's not a waste of time because they've taught you something and you know more. And so maybe it's not a purchase you're going to make today, but maybe you might later, or someone else might, because the best marketing is word of mouth. And now you have information. So there's kind of a couple questions that I always ask myself to help me with buying. The first one being, what are the top 5 things I want right now outside of this situation? And you can actually make this list beforehand. And so that you have it as a reference, and you can say, does this beat out any of those things? Would I rather put my money towards this more than these 5 things?
Not just like Gen Con, like have a list of things that you care about getting at Gen Con, but like a list of things just generally that like are going to cost some money that you need to figure out what you want to prioritize.
A different thing that I do is I have 6 values that I have, like my core values that I've written down. This is like really intense for Gen
You're
Con.
such a 4.
This is maybe too much for Gen Con. So I have
These are my values and how they factor into my purchases at Gen Con.
I mean, I do. Like,
this is what it means for who I am.
So I guess just remembering that you'll have to deal with your financial purchases at the end of this, and reminding yourself of the future when you're dealing with the now.
But one thing that I've done to help make decisions of like what kind of thing to buy. So last year, I knew that I wanted to get more like party type games, because that was something that we just didn't have a lot of, like small little things that are easy to like take to people who maybe don't play games as much, and like simple rules and that sort of thing. And so going into it, I knew that that was something that I wanted. And so that was the kind of thing that like, if I demoed a quick, easy party game and it was fun, then like that was an easy thing to justify to myself. Whereas like, if it was something really complex, then maybe I don't prioritize that one, because I know that just like given where I am in life and where my friends are in life and the people who actually would be playing that kind of game. Like, are we actually going to get together and play that game? I don't know. So, like, having some idea ahead of time of, like, this is the type of thing that I'm looking for and this is where I should spend my money and maybe where I should not, I think makes sense.
Yeah. I did something very similar. I, like, specifically looked for educational games and, like, ones that I could use in the classroom, so.
Lauren's a teacher. I have 5 more questions. Some will be quicker than others.
Okay.
Discounts and coupons. Are there discounts and coupons at Gen Con? Do tell. And is it a sales marketing scam that I should avoid?
Yes, there are coupons and discounts and deals at Gen Con, of course. There's a coupon book that you can actually get. There's a booth. It's over typically by will call. So the coupon book has a lot of different things. Some of them are going to be like, 10% off at this booth. Some will be like, tell us the secret word and you get a free dice. That's a great deal. It's free. You get a free thing. Yes, the discounts can be very real at Gen Con. There's a lot of bundling. There's a lot of, at Gen Con it's, 15. We're going to market it for 20 or whatever.
But is it worth it?
I mean, that's a question where you have to answer it for yourself.
This is where you have to look deep inside and ask yourself your core values.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it like that. But, like, some of them are, I mean, the deal is real. Like, 15 is less than 20. But it is also a marketing technique to get you to buy it now, because it works on the fear of missing out. But if you're in a financial spot where you can't afford $15, you can't afford $15. Like, it doesn't matter if it's going to be 20 later. You can't afford the 15 now. So I think you have to know you're buying because you want the game or if you're buying because you're afraid that you're going to miss it, which are 2 different feelings. Mm-hmm. I'm not lying.
But they want you to give your money to them and not to another vendor. And I'll also say there are a few booths that, like, have giveaways and that sort of thing. So now what we are doing this year is taking those games that we got for free, as well as any other games that we've gotten over the years that, like, we've played enough, we're done with it. And Board Game Geek organizes a math trade, which you cannot get on this year. Sorry, it's too late. Next year, plan ahead. So you can, like, list out, these are all the games that I have that I am willing to give to someone else, and then you put those in, and it goes into the system, and, like, a couple weeks later, then it shows you, these are all the games that are available, and then computer does magic, and then it, like, matches you up with, give this game to this person, and this other person is going to give you that game, and there's going to be all this trading happening. Board Game Geek has multiple math trades throughout the year, but this is one that you don't have to pay for shipping, because everyone who is involved in it is going to be at Gen Con, and we have a time and a day and a location, and we're all going to meet up there. And from what I hear, it's organized chaos that doesn't look like it should be working, but it works beautifully. So I'm ready for that.
A lot of people don't go to Gen Con solo. I mean, many do, and that's awesome. But if you're with friends or family or whatever, you can definitely buy gifts for each other.
If I'm going to be getting Lauren a Christmas gift anyway, I might as well come from Gen Con.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. How do you plan for Gen Con events, financially speaking?
So I plan for Gen Con year-round. I put money back specifically for it like it's a vacation. And I know that the event catalog's going to drop, but like a couple months before Gen Con. So I know when I need to have those funds ready, right? There's tons of free ones. There's tons that are $2. It's very affordable. And it's also a way that you can also get a little bit out of the vendor hall. I also plan specific vendor hall times. So I actually limit how much time I'm in the vendor hall. 1, because I just get overstimulated really easily and I need to take breaks. And 2, so you can't spend a ton of money if you're not around places where you spend money.
You don't just spend your entire day in a store.
Right.
If you're just trying to get out of the vendor hall, like, if it's something that you are really going to enjoy, then why not spend $15 on a longer thing that is like an RPG playthrough. So, yeah. Priorities.
Yeah.
They're all sticking together. Ooh, only 2 questions left. Ooh. Long distance travel. Any advice?
I live in Indiana. No.
Sorry. Final question.
Yay.
What is your top money saving tip?
Really self-reflecting on what your core values are. Food. So I take my own food to Gen Con every year. I plan on like 2 meals, 2 or 3 meals that I want to eat out. So I budget that for my food. But other than that, I really don't spend money in concession stands in the convention center. Food trucks I don't do a ton of. But if you go to the food trucks, typically it's better to have cash because then it goes faster. I know Island Noodles usually has 2 lines, and one's like a card line, one's a cash line. And the cash line is extremely fast. Oh, also, this is not a budget saving tip, but it worked in my budget. I do cosplay photography, so I actually booked a session during Gen Con. So I, at Gen Con, made a couple $100. So
Nice.
that helped my budget. For sure.
So if you can get a job, ooh, that was actually another thing I was going to mention. Like, you can work at Gen Con if that's something that you're interested in. We have 0 experience in that, but we do have a friend who's done it a couple of times before working with a specific vendor, and then another friend who's going to be doing it this year. And so by doing that, they get tickets to the event. They get their badges for free. And have just like a set number of hours that they have to work at the booth. So if you're really on a budget, like that could be a great way to save a few $100. If you are the type of person who likes to talk to people about games that you're excited about, then that could be a good way to do it. So those are all the money saving tips that we have.
So you have to do some self-reflection before you go to Gen Con.
Big takeaway. Who are you? And what do you really want out of this life?
And what do you value? And does this align with your values? I hope you don't regret a single purchase this year.
Aw, that was great. We're filming at Ignite Studio at the Fishers Library. Fishers is a suburb of Indianapolis on the northeast side, and they have a whole makerspace, including an AV studio where we are currently, and craft kits, and a 3D printer, and all kinds of cool stuff. So if you have a chance to check it out, do.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you at Gen Con. Spend all your money at Gen Con if you want. Live your life. You only live once, so buy all the board games. That's your advice.
There we go. We finally got there.
Stop the audio.
Is it good advice?
What? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Is it fine?
I now need to analyze my core values.
Good. I think everyone should do that. So if this video makes people analyze their core values, then I think it's a win.